I welcome you all to our Bhagavad Gita session every Sunday. So before we start, let me recap. So the objective of this class is to enable reading of the shlok, to understand the meaning of the shlok, and to help understand the basic philosophy of Gita. We are on chapter 2, contents of Gita summarized. We have completed the first part, which is Shlok 1 to 10, which continued with Arjun's indecision, and finally Arjun accepting Lord Krishna as his guru. We are currently in the second part, which is from Shlok 11 to 30th, which is Gyan and Sankhya Yoga. And here Krishna answers to Arjun's first dilemma, that is lamentation due to compassion. Yeah. So let us go a bit in detail what we have studied till now from Shlok 11 to 15. Bhagwan accepted him as a guru and a spiritual master and started giving gyan to Arjun. He said that he started saying that there's, although you're talking like a learned person, but then wise people, they don't lament for they don't lament for living or dead. Yeah. Then he talks about the eternity of the soul. He said that there was never a time when I did not exist, you did not exist, or the entire king did not exist. It was always that everyone existed, and it is also in future everyone will continue to exist. Then he talked about the change in the body. So he talked about how the body keeps on changing from boyhood to youth, and then to old age, and finally the body perishes. Death comes, but the soul is eternal. It moves on. And then he talks about the dualities of life, where he says that the sukh and dukh, they're like summer and winter season, and they keeps on coming in life till this life is there. The dualities of life, that is the sukh and dukh, will continue to come, and what we need to do, we need to tolerate it. There's no other way but to tolerate it. And then we talked about equanimity is the eligibility of liberation. And there he explained that only when you are sum in sukh and dukh, when you have equanimity and have the capability to tolerate the sukh and dukh with ease, with no change, and that is the time when you are eligible for liberation. And this is what we have covered till now. So before we start into the shlokas, I would like to talk about a story about King Chitraketu and the instruction given by Narad to him. This is from Bhagavatam. So once what happened is, King Chitraketu, he was a very prosperous, handsome, and well-educated king, and he had many queens, and he had all the prosperity, all the riches, all the thing that life is needed. He had everything that is needed. And one day, what happened is, Angira Muni, he came to his court, and when Angira Muni came to his court, King Chitraketu did his best to welcome Angira Muni, and after all the right reception, he made him sit on the throne and sat on his feet. And looking at the humility of King Chitraketu, he was very impressed, and he said that he told Chitraketu that I can see that you have everything, but still I see that you are sad. You are not happy. What is the reason? So King Chitraketu said that, see, if someone is hungry and thirsty, he may have all the external pressure, doesn't matter. And for me, I have everything that world can buy. But the thing is, money can buy. But the thing is, I don't have a son. And that is really troubling and eating me inside. So if you can do something, please do something and give me a son. So Angira Muni thought about it, and then he performed a yajna. And he said to Chitraketu, fine, give the remnants of this offering to your queen Kritadetu, and you will soon have a son. But he will be the cause of lamentation as well as jubilation. He'll be the cause of your happiness as well as distress. Now, listening that, I will have a son, King Chitraketu was so happy that he did not bother about the second part that sage had said. So what happened in due course? King Chitraketu was blessed with a son, and he was so happy to get a son, that his time used to be spent with the son and with the prince and the queen. And he had many queens, and in due course he neglected all other queens and spent most of his time taking care of the prince and the queen. And this made all the other queen very jealous of the who was the mother of Harshok. So they were like wondering what to do, but this continued, and the king kept on neglecting the other queens and kept on remaining busy with the son and the queen. So one day the queens decided to poison the son, and what they did is they administered poison on the son, and the son was soon dead. Now, when the son was dead, the king was so sad. He, listening to this news, he ran from the palace, and he ran from the palace, and finally somehow he reached the place where the son was, and he felt unconscious on the feet of the son, and he was lamenting so much that no one was able to console him. And same was the condition of his queen and all other subjects. In the meantime, Angira Muni, along with Narad Muni, visited the palace. Now, Narad Muni, seeing the king so lamenting and so depressed, and he was lying next to his son as a dead body. Seeing like that, Narad came forward and said, "Oh king, what are you doing? What do you think, is the relation between this dead body and yourself? Do you think there was a relation existing before? Do you think there's existing relation now? Or do you think there will be a relation existing in future? Do you know? Just like the sand particles comes together by the waves, by the force of the waves, and they are on the beach for some time, and then again they are carried away by water. Similarly, the bodies and relations comes in this world, which happen in this world, are temporary. There's nothing for you to lament. That is the reality. Also, just like many seeds that are actually put for growth, some of them actually grow and some of them does not grow. So it's not necessary that all the seed which is sown should have a plant. So this is how the life is. This is how the reality of life is. And this is all controlled by Supreme Lord. And you should not repent for such things. It is a part and parcel, and you should be able to take it. Now, listening to all these things, King Chitraketu got up, but still his lamentation was not ending. Looking at that, Narad Muni looked at the dead son and decided to bring life into the sun. And by his mystic power, he actually made the sun alive. And he said to the sun, look at your father, look at your mother, look at all the people around you. See how much they're grieving for you. Why don't you come back? This was your untimely death and your lifespan is still left. Why don't you stay back? Why don't and enjoy the throne, enjoy all the royal opulence that is being given by your father? And listening to that, the sun, the soul actually entered the sun, and he got up. He said to Narad Muni, which father, which mother are you talking about? Is it I'm now going to be born to another set of parents? And what parents are you talking about? Are you talking about this parents, this father and mother whom I have already left, and I'm going to be born to a new parents? So to whom should I call father and mother? The soul is actually moving. It is eternal. It changes body only through a small part of time. When these relations, the bodily relations are temporary. It is only in the last life they were my parents, they were my father and mother. But now I'm going to be born to another set of parents. Where should I go? What should I do? So this is something which is not you should lament about, but this is the reality, and we have to understand that. And saying that, the sun actually went away. Now, when King Chitraketu listened this from his son's mouth, he had a realization. He decided to cut all the shackles from his son with his son. He got up and did the and he got up and started. He was astonished to hear that and started left this and moved forward. Then Narad gave him some mantra and helped king to get liberated. So this is what is the story from Bhagavatam, which talks about how the relations between body and soul. Now with this story, we move forward to, this is what we read in Shlok 13 in the last class. Dehi no asminitha dehe kaumaram yavanajara tatha dehantara prapti dhiras tatra na muhyate. A sober person does not gets bewildered, because this is how the journey of soul is. So we start from now 15 to 25. This is what we'll try to finish. So the last shlok that we read in the last class was Yam hina vyathyantete purusham purushashrabha sam dukha sukham dhiram so amrit tvata kalpate. O best among men, O Arjun, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. This was the last shlok that we had read. And now we go to the next shlok, which is shlok 16. Please repeat after me. Nasato vidyate bhavo. Na bhavo vidyate satah. Ubhayorapi drishtantas. Tvasnayos tattvadarshibhi. Nasato vidyate bhavo. Na bhavo vidyate satah. Ubhayorapi drishtantas. Tva anayos tattvadarshibhi. Yes, repeat please.
Nasato vidyate bhavo.
Nasato vidyate bhavo.
Na bhavo vidyate satah.
Na bhavo vidyate satah. Ubhayorapi drishtotas.
Tava anyos tattvadarshibhi.
Tva anyos tattvadarshibhi. Na asato vidyate bhavo. Asat means temporary, non-existent, false, temporary. And what is temporary? The material body. Na sato vidyate bhavo. The material body is not permanent. Na bhavo vidyate satah. Satah is the soul, which is eternal. Satah, na bhavo vidyate satah. And the soul does not change. There is no change to the soul. Tattva darshibhi. Tattva darshibhi means, tattva means truth. And darshibhi means who are the seers of the truth. And what they have, anta means they have concluded. What have they concluded? Ubhyo means in the two. In the two, there is the Tattvadarshibhi has concluded that the material body does not have a permanent existence, and the soul, eternal soul, does not change. And this is what has been concluded by the seers of truth. So let us read the meaning. Those who are seers of the truth, have concluded that of the non-existence, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal soul, there is no change. This has been concluded.
This they have concluded
by studying the nature of both. So here, the Tattvadarshibhi, the seers, they have said that the material body is permanently changing. Just like we saw that the body, because of the various nature of the cells that keeps on changing, the body grows the body grows into an adult and then old age and then dies and perishes, right? But soul is, it doesn't change. It's our ignorance that we consider, we misidentify the soul and body. We misidentify the soul and body. Whereas soul is actually the part and parcel of Krishna, and it is always pure. Yeah, it is always good, right? And the body is will get destroyed. It will have changes, and whatever bewilderment or lamentation the body is going through, the soul does not feel that. It is independent. Soul is independent of that. And to understand this, we can actually take an example of a liberated soul is just like a coconut, a dried coconut. So let's understand how we can understand this better by taking an example of coconut. In a coconut, we have a green cover, and then we have some some fibers, then we have a hard shell, and under the hard shell we have a white pulp, right? And when the coconut grows old, what happens? This white pulp is gets separated from the hard crust, and it becomes like a solid sukha nariyal, we call it, right? So if you move it, you can hear the sound of that. So a liberated soul is like that. It does not have any connection with the outer cover, that is the green part till the crust part. And a liberated soul is actually part of Krishna and is totally with Krishna, and he doesn't have to do anything with the outer cover. Now the outer cover may go through any change, it may go through the bewilderment or through the any damage can happen to the outer part of coconut, but anyway the shell will not get impacted. So this is what Krishna is trying to say now on soul, that soul is eternal, it doesn't change, whereas the material body is not permanent, it will change. And finally, so this is what is concluded in this shloka. We go to the next one. Avinashi tu tadvidhi yena sarvamidam tatam vinasham avyayasyasya na kaschit kartum arhati. Avinashi tu tadvidhi yena sarvam idam tatam vinasham avyayasyasya na kaschit kartum arhati. So here Avinashi means indestructible, something which cannot be destroyed, indestructible. So that vidhi is to know. You should know that something which is yena sarvam idam tatam. Tatam is pervading. Something which is sarvam is entire body, all over. What is pervading all over? That is consciousness due to the soul is Avinashi. That soul is Avinashi. You need to know that that the soul is Avinashi, and what is actually getting pervaded across the body? It is the consciousness, which is the cause of that soul. The consciousness which is pervading throughout the body. Vinasham avyayasyasya. Avyaya means imperishable. Avyaya means something which cannot be spent. That is imperishable. And vinash is destroy. Na kaschit kartum arhati. It means no one is able to destroy the imperishable soul. So here Krishna is trying to say that which pervades the entire body, you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. So we talked about Avinashi tu tadvidhi yena sarvamidam tatam vinasham avyayasyasya na kaschit kartum arhasi. So we talked about that how the consciousness it basically pervades the entire body, but this consciousness which is pervading, it is pervading the body only of an individual soul. It does not, it is the consciousness of a soul is limited to the consciousness of a particular body. Yeah. And so we move forward. Here it also talks about what is the size of the soul. So let us also now learn something more about the soul. It is Avinashi, we know. Now let us see what our Upanishads talk about the size of the soul. Now the size of the soul is as per the Shvetadvaras Upanishad. It is, if you take one strand of our hair and the tip of that point of the hair, if you take, and if we divide it into 100 parts. So we divide into 100 parts, and then we take one part of um, division, and again if we divide into 100 parts, then that is the size of one soul. That is the size of one soul, and that size that we call it, so we can call it, it is 1 by 10,000 parts of the tip of a hair. That is the size of the soul. Yeah, and we can call this, because soul is a spiritual entity, it is a spiritual atom. We all know, we have read in chemistry about the material atom, but this is a spiritual atom, which is the size of 1 by 10,000 times of a part of a hair tip. Yeah. Then we talk about where exactly is this soul situated. Yeah. So uh, as per Mandaka Upanishad, this spiritual soul is actually situated in the heart of every living entity. It is situated in the heart of every living entity. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita in the 15th chapter that also the super soul sits in the also the super soul sits also the super soul sits in the heart along with the individual soul. So he said, Sarvasya Chaham Hidi Sanna Vishtu. I am seated in everyone's heart. Also in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hrideshu Arjun Tishtati. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart. So the soul is situated in the heart, the individual soul, and along with the individual soul, it is also the super soul, Paramatma, also situated in our heart. The Kathopanishad also talks about it. It says that there are two kinds of soul, the Anuatma, which is the individual soul, and the Vibhu Atma, which is the super soul. Both of them are actually residing in our body, in our body. And it says both of the super soul, Paramatma, and the atomic soul, Jivatma, are situated on the same tree of the body within the same heart of the living being, and only one who has become free from all material desires as well as limitation can, by the grace of Supreme, understand the glories of the soul. So this is what is the knowledge that is being given about the soul. So now let us listen to the story from Mahabharata, what and about this super soul. Yeah. So this story is about Bhim and Lord Hanuman from Mahabharata. This is the time when all the Pandavas they have gone for Vanvas, and Arjun has actually gone to to the heavenly planets to get the celestial weapons from the gods. At that point of time, all of the Pandavas were actually staying in the Badrika ashram. They were in the Badrika ashram, and Draupadi was really enchanted by the beauty of the place. And one day, she was captivated by the strong aroma of the flowers that was coming from the aroma that was coming there. So she approached Bhim and said, "Oh Bhim, can you please help me with the flower, with that flower? It is smelling so good, and soon we'll be leaving Badrik. I would like to carry that flower with me." Now Bhim is always ready to impress Draupadi, and what he did was he agreed, and he started following the path from where the scent was coming, from where the strong aroma was coming. And when he kept on going, and suddenly he realized that it has been a long way that he has already covered, and he has still not found it. Suddenly he heard a huge thumping sound on the earth, and listening to that sound, he started looking and following that sound. And when he moved there, he saw there was a monkey who was lying there blocking his path. So he went to the monkey and said, "Who are you?" And Bhim gave his introduction. He said, "I'm one of the Pandavas," and he gave the reason why he was there, and asked the monkey to give the way. So the monkey said, "Okay." The monkey smiled. He said, "Okay, fine. I know who you are. Do one thing. You look very tired. You please sit, have some fruits to eat, and then I suggest that you go back from the path from the place where you have come from." So Bhim said, "No, I cannot go. I have some mission to complete. I want to go. So please give me the way. So the monkey said, okay, if you want the way, I cannot. I'm an old monkey, and I have been ill and lying like this for many days. I just can't move. So if you want to the way, then you can cross over my body and go. So Bhim said, no, I cannot cross over your body because the super soul, the Paramatma is inside your body. So you will have to give me the way. And this is the relation from the Paramatma. The super soul stays in the body of everyone. And he says, no, this Paramatma is on your body and I cannot cross it. Yeah. If I would not have been aware of this, I would have actually flown brother Hanuman and I would have gone and got the flower. But then I have to go there and you'll have to give me the way. So Hanuman said, well, that is the end all mortals can go. That is the place, that is immortals can go. That whole place is only for mortals. So Bhim got very angry. He did not listen and he said, no, I have to go. And even he was very determined. The monkey said, okay, do one thing. You can remove my tail and take your path and go. So here what Bhim did, he lifted the tail and he started bang and he thought, he will just lift it and he will be able to make the place. So as soon as he tried to lift the tail, he was not able to do it. Then he used both of his hands to lift the tail. He still could not do it. Then he used all his powers that he had to lift the tail. He could not do it. And then he realized that he is actually doing a mistake. He actually did a Dandot Pranam and he said, oh, I don't know who you are. To me, you look like a god, you look like a devata to me. So please forgive me for all my, stupidity that I have done. Please forgive me and tell me who you are. And then the monkey said he was Hanuman. Now, as soon as Bhim heard that he was Hanuman, he actually got up and he embraced him because Hanuman is the elder brother, they both are Vayu's son. He embraced him and then Hanuman said fine. He was very happy. He gave way to Bhim, and then Hanuman promised Bhim that during the war he will actually be on the flag of the Arjun, and then he will actually, when the war is going on, he will shout so loudly that the enemies will actually become fearful, and then Bhim will be able to kill them easily. So this is the story from Mahabharata where it talks about the super soul and how we should not cross over the body of any human because super soul is inside our body. And then we move to the next slok, which is 2.18. Antavanta ime deha Nityasyukta sharirinaha Anashino apremeyasya Tasma yuddhasva bharata Antavanta ime deha Nityasyukta sharirinaha Anashino apremeyasya Tasma yuddhasva bharata. Please repeat. Antavanta ime deha Nityasyukta sharirinaha Anashino apremeyasya Tasman yuddhasva bharata. Now here Krishna is saying Antamant ime deha. This body is perishable. Nityasyukta sharirina, but the embodied, so the soul in the embodied body is nitya, it is eternal, the soul is eternal. Anashino is indestructible. Aprameyasya is immeasurable. Tasmat, that's why Yuddhasva Bharata. Bharata is Arjun. He's listening to Arjun. O descendant of Bharat, this body is perishable and the soul is imperishable, indestructible, and immeasurable. So what are you waiting for? Get up and fight. So let us read the meaning. The material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity, is sure to come to an end. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharat. So we go to the next slok. Ya enam veti hantaram.
Na enam veti hantaram.
Yaschainam manyate hatam.
Yasyainam manyate hatam.
Ubhauto na vijanito.
Ubhauto na vijanito.
Nayam hanti na hanyate.
Nayam hanti na hanyate.
Ya enam veti hantaram.
Ya enam veti hantaram.
Yaschainam manyate hatam.
Yasyainam manyate hatam.
Ubhauto tau na vijanito.
Ubhoto na vijanito.
Nayam hanti na hanyate.
Nayam hanti na hanyate.
So here he says, na enam veti hantaram. Veti is, here it means those who know. Veti means know. Hantaram, killer. Yes, chainam. And those who know, manyate hatam, that they are killed. So the people who think that the soul is killed or it is killing, abhauto na vijanite. Vijanite means they don't have the right knowledge. Ubho is two. Both of them don't have the right knowledge because nayam hantina hanyate. Because the soul can neither be killed nor is killed. Yeah. So let's read the meaning. Neither he who thinks the living entity,
Neither he who thinks the living entity,
the slayer, nor he who thinks
Nor he who thinks
it's slain
it's slain
is in knowledge.
is in knowledge.
For the self slays,
For the self slays,
not nor is slain.
not nor is slain.
So here, the soul, as was mentioned in the previous shlok, is so small. It's so small that it cannot be measured also. In the material world, you can't even measure. It is a spiritual atom. It is 1 by 10,000 time the size, which is a spiritual size of the spiritual atom. It is so small that it cannot be measured. So how can you kill it? Yeah. So it cannot be killed. The body, when you're killing a body, it is only the body that is getting killed. It is not the soul which is getting killed. Neither otherwise also it is. Soul is a part of eternal part of God. It's part of Krishna. So it is anyway eternal. So can never be killed. So in any way, neither it gets slain, neither it is self-slain, nor it will be slain. We go to the next shlok. Na jayate mriyate va kadachin.
Na jayate mriyate va kachachit.
Nayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuya.
Nayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuya.
Ajo nitya shashvatoyam purano.
Ajo
nitya shashvatoyam purano.
Na hanyate hanyamane sharire.
Na
Hanyate hanyamane sharire.
Na jayate mriyate va kadachin.
Na jayate mriyate va
kadachin.
Nayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuya.
Nayam bhutva bhavita vana
Ajo
bhuya.
nitya shashvatoyam purano.
Ajo nityam shashvatoyam purano.
Na hanyate hanyamane sharire.
Hanyate hanyamane sharire.
Yeah. Vaishnavi, can you please repeat?
न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचिन्
Na jayate mriyate va kadachin.
नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः
Nayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuya.
अजो नित्य शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो
Ajo nitya shashvatoyam purano.
न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे
Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. So again, it talks about the soul. Na jayate. Jayate means birth. It does not take birth. Mriyate is death. It does not. It doesn't incur death. Va kadachin. Nayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuya. Bhuta means it does not come into being. Is into being and has come into being. Ajo means unborn, Nitya means eternal, Shashvato means everlasting, and Purano means perennial. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. Even if you kill the sharir, the body, it does not get killed. So here, the soul does not take birth. As we all know, that what takes birth is the body. What takes birth is the body. And what dies is the body. And what does soul do? Soul takes up a body. It goes in the body. So the soul as such does not have a birth. It does not have a death. And because it does not have a birth, so it does not have a past, it does not have a present, and it does not have a future. Yeah, because past, present, and future is connected to a body, which is a material body, right? So a body takes birth. Yeah, so a body goes into 6 types of transformation. It takes birth, it exists, it grows, it creates byproducts, it dwindles, and then it dies. So these are the 6 different types of transformation the body goes through. Yeah, but the soul does not go through any transformation. It is as is. It is a part of Krishna, and it continues to be a part of Krishna, and it doesn't have any past. It is everlasting. The only thing is, it takes the body because it is in this journey for the liberation, the eternal life. It takes a body for the journey to the eternal life. So what is then? It talks about Ajo. So what is soul? Soul is Ajo. It is unborn. Nitya is ever, is eternal. Shashvato is elastic, and Purano means it does not have an end and a beginning. And Naina Hanyate, it doesn't get killed. Hanya Mane Sharire, even if the body gets killed, right? So this is what is about, again, about soul. Krishna is saying. So Veda Vinashinam Nityam.
Veda Vinashinam Nityam.
Ya Enam Ajam Avyayam.
Enam ajabhavyam
Katham Sah Purusha Partha.
Katham
purusha
Sarvusha
Kam
partha
Khatiyanti Hantikam.
Ghatayati hantikam.
Bhatayati Hantikam.
Veda Vinashinam Nityam.
Veda Vinashinam Nityam.
Ya Enam Ajam Avyayam.
Ya Enam Ajamabhyayam.
Katham Sah Puram Partha.
Katham
Sarvusha
Sarvusha
Kam
Partha.
Khatiyanti Hantikam.
Kamyanti Hantikam.
Veda is knowledge. So those who know Vinashinam, it is Avinashi. It is cannot be killed. It is Nityam. Again, so Krishna keeps on again repeating for the people who knows, for the Katha Purusha. So the men who knows that the soul is Avinashi, which is indestructible, Nitya, which is eternal, Ajanm, which is unborn, and Avyayam, which means it is imperishable. Then how can Partha come Hantika? How can someone kill it? Yeah. So let us, Shil, maybe you can read the shlok.
Veda vinashinam nityam
Veda Vinashanam Nityam.
Avinashinam Nityam.
ejnam avyayam
Ya Enam Ajam Avyayam.
Ya Enam Ajamabhyayam.
Katham Sah Purusha Partha.
Katham
purusha
Sarvusha
partha
Kam Khatyanti Hantikam.
Bhatayati Hantikam.
O Parth,
O Parth,
how can a person
how can a person
who knows that the soul is indestructible,
who knows that the soul is indestructible,
unborn,
unborn,
and immutable
and immutable,
kill anyone
kill anyone,
or cause anyone to kill?
or cause anyone to kill?
So now we move to the next shlok, 22. Vasansi jeenani yatha vihaya
Vasansi Jirani Yatha Vihaya
navani grihati naroparani
Navani Grihati Naruparani
tatha sharirani vihayirnan
Tatha Sharirani Vihaya Jirana
anyani sinyati navani dehi
Jnani Sanyati Navani Dehi
vasansi jeenani yatha vihaya
Vasansi Jirani Yatha Vihaya
navani grihati naroparani
Navani Grihati Naruparani
tatha sharirani vihayirnan
Tatha Sharirani Vihaya Jirana
sanyat anyani sinyati navani dehi.
Anyani Sanyati Navani Dehi.
So we learned in the 13th shlok how the soul passes, is the same in a body that is moving from boyhood to youth and to the old age, and then finally after that the soul changes its body. So here it talks about vasansi. Vasansi means garments. Jirnani is the way we change. Yeah, vihaya is we give up. Navani is new garments. Grihati means we take up. Naroparani after that. Tatha Shiran, the way we throw away the old garments. Jirani is the old garment. The way we throw away the old garments and pick up the new garments. Yeah, when the old garments is not worth wearing, what do? We just remove it. We just throw it and we buy a new garments and we take the new garments. In the same way, the soul. Tatha sharirani vihaya jirna. When the body becomes old, what happens? What does the soul do? It takes up the new. It takes up the new body. So this is what the soul also, just like we throw away the old garments, take up the new garments. The soul also throws away the old body and takes up the new body. This is how the soul also changes its body. So we move forward. Now, in the Veda, in the Mundaka and the Shvetaswara Upanishad, the soul and the super soul, they have been compared as two friendly birds seated in one tree. Yeah, the Vedas, the Upanishad tells us that actually the soul, the individual soul and the super soul, they both are actually seated in the same tree, in the same body, that what we talked about earlier. And they're like two birds. The Jivatma, the individual soul, it is on the lower branch, and it is so busy eating the fruit of the tree. It is so busy eating the fruit. It's always busy eating. It's basically the body is busy in the material entanglements and material things. And the other bird, which is actually the super soul, is sitting in the higher branch and actually watching the bird which is sitting in the lower branch, and it's doing nothing. The super soul is actually there in the heart. The other bird is there seated at the other branches, at the higher branch, and it's watching the individual soul, the lower bird, the bird in the lower branch, who is nicely enjoying the fruit of the tree. Some fruit of the tree is sweet and some of them are bitter. Similarly, and what happens? It is so busy that it does not have even time to look back at the super soul or the other bird which is sitting in the tree. And that bird is actually observing all the activities of the individual soul, the lower bird which is there. Yeah, and because the bird is so busy and does not have time even to look at that, so what happens to the lower bird? It will move from one tree to another. And that is the case with us. We as an individual soul are so busy in enjoying the material world that we are facing the sukh and dukh in this world, and we don't have time. We have forgotten our relation with the Paramatma, who is actually seated and waiting for us to see, to strengthen our relation, to look that, we should look back and look at it. Now, in the case of Arjun, what Arjun did, Krishna is also in his heart. But what Arjun did, he actually surrendered himself to Krishna. He was lamenting, he was confused, he never knew what to do. Yeah, but what he did, he did not just continue living like that. He surrendered himself to Krishna. And by surrendering himself to Krishna, what really happened? Now Krishna has taken ownership and he is helping the Arjun to drive away his illusion. He's helping Arjun to drive away his illusion. Yeah. So this two birds is talked about in multiple Upanishads and Vedas, talking about how soul and super soul, they are together, but the soul is unaware and is not giving time. It's so busy in the material world, enjoying the material world, that does not have time for the super soul, who is waiting, watching. And because of this forgetfulness of this relation of the people, of the human, they are struggling in this world. And that's the reason why we are struggling in this world. And the reason why, the soul moves from one body to another body, again, the soul is the one who helps the soul to move to get. With this, we will close today's class. What we'll do is, it's almost time. I would request you to say Hare Krishna Mahamantra 3 times. Let's chant together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,